based upon my answers. So I look at you.
Marc, how does German Accelerator help healthcare companies and life sciences companies internationalize?
Thanks for the question. So the German Accelerator Life Science program for market access supports therapeutics, diagnostics, digital health, devices, and platforms. And what we really do is to help translate what they're doing and their solutions and the problems that they're solving in Germany and applying those and translating those into other markets globally. And in order to do that, we really focused on first helping these companies understand the problem that they're solving. For instance, the problem that may be solved by a given solution in Germany may not be appropriate for a given market because the problems that exist are fundamentally different. So the first thing that we do is we help to essentially we help the companies understand the problems by talking with companies, talking with customers, talking with clinicians, talking with investors, and really helping them triangulate on the problem and the beachhead market that they are going after. Then we help them refine their value proposition. And understanding their value, both clinically and economically, is typically very, very important because it's typically very different than in Germany because the healthcare structures are extremely different. Underneath the work that's involved with understanding the problem and the value proposition is also the clinical and regulatory strategy. So that is something that is obviously very different between Europe and the United States. And so helping these early stage companies understand really what their clinical and regulatory strategies are is a big part of what we do.
And that would include, for example, legal, as you insinuated, plus reimbursement and similar topics?
Absolutely. So interestingly enough, the legal stuff is typically a downstream problem to be solved, right? That usually is involved with forming a new entity, hiring people, establishing a corporation. But the regulatory and the reimbursement piece are absolutely critical to get right early in the internationalization process. So we focus a lot on that.
Tell us about a few success stories.
So, the life science vertical has been around since 2015. We've had about 60 participants in the program, and of those 60 participants, we've had 9 exits. And those exits have totaled over $1 billion. And 4 of those exits have happened in the last 10 months. So we're gaining momentum, we're increasing the number of participants in the program and helping them have exits and raise money.
So that would include as fields of action, for example, diagnostics, therapeutics.
Yes, absolutely. So we've had exits across multiple sectors. So the most recent one was a company called Kumovis, which is a 3D medical printing company that was bought by a additive manufacturing company in the United States.
Any suggestions that you would have for potential candidates?
Yes, so the first most important thing to keep in mind just from a philosophy is to not assume that the business model, the value proposition, or the clinical regulatory strategies that are more known in Germany will in fact translate to other geographies. And a great case in point of that is in digital health. So in Germany, there's this wonderful law called DiGA, which mandates reimbursement for clinicians for certain digital health apps, assuming they meet a certain bar. There is no such law like that in the United States. And so consequently, the business model of relying on reimbursement from insurance companies doesn't immediately transfer because there's no structural law forcing that. There has to be a much more concerted effort to really prove the value and convince the insurance companies that that digital health app is actually worthy of reimbursement.
So the idea is for these candidates out there, startups, tap the competence offered by GA.
Yes, so GA, this is what we do, right? We have this very deep bench of life science specific mentors that are commercialization experts, they are entrepreneurs, they are clinicians, they are investors. Sometimes they are all four of those in one person. And so we really comprehensively and on a very individualized basis develop a program to help each individual company globalize, right, and enter the US market or enter the Asian market. We do the same thing. We have a very similar sort of infrastructure in Singapore to help these health tech life science companies expand into different regions.